Hello guys, what is up? My name is Dylan. Welcome to the Popcorn Podcast. This is episode number 71. Now guys, if you have ever seen any sort of film podcast related content on the internet, there's a good chance you'll have seen this man's face. He is a presenter, podcaster one day, dare I say, suited and booted fashion model the next. He's interviewed some of the hottest actors and filmmakers working in Hollywood today, including the likes of Kieran Culkin, Mikey Madison, Sean Baker, Barry Jenkins, and most recently, the cast of Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. He is the George of James and George, George and James. And worth noting, one of the tallest people in the sort of film discussion community, second to only his co-host James, both of whom make up together the always brilliant, always impeccable Pulp Kitchen Podcast. It's Mr. George Pundek. Welcome, sir. It's
Dylan,
such a pleasure to have you on.
What a great introduction.
I will say, I did take a lot of inspiration from our mutual friend Henry Calvert, because his intros are sort of unbeatable. So I was
Henry Calvert sort of looks down the camera and says, I'm here to do this sort of thing for you. Guess what I'm here? I love Wiki. Very enthusiastic, yeah.
Gosh, the amount of data I just got a couple of weeks ago. So George, I'm sure many people, if they're watching this episode, will sort of know and have heard of you and have seen some of your stuff. But just to sort of kick this off, tell us a bit about you, how you guys got Pulp Kitchen started. Sure. Give us a little origin story, so to speak.
Okay, sure. So like Dylan said, I do this film podcast called Pulp Kitchen with my friend James. And James and I have known each other for 10 years. And we went to university. And
what uni did you go to?
Sussex. Did you go to Sussex? Did you actually? When were you there?
I was there from 2018 to about 2020 when COVID hit. So I did 1.5 basically of 3 years.
Wow. First of all, commiserations for COVID hitting you in that time. I'm really sorry.
That's it.
We were there, I was 2013 to 2016. So James and I met in 2015. We were doing a play together with the Drama Society, and it was the era of the Force Awakens hype. And in the wings, when the play was being rehearsed, we would just chat film the whole time. And I have a very vivid memory of like sitting outside a bench when it was sunny, like while one of the scenes was happening that we weren't involved in, and we were talking about all the theories we have of what could happen and the Star Wars and everything. And we bonded in that way. And then we would, whenever we'd meet up after uni, we'd always talk about film. And then kind of post-COVID, we just talked about maybe making this a formal thing. James worked in sort of commercial video production, so we had the know-how there. I was studying film at university myself, so I could bring that knowledge there. And I'd also worked in media from like a PR and marketing background, so we thought it might be a good mix. And
this is making so much sense now.
So we did Pulp Kitchen we started it in 2021. And it was a side hustle for many years, and then it just, thankfully, amazingly, grew and grew and grew, and wonderful listeners like yourselves and people who come to our live events, the pub quizzes we do.
Yes. Guys, when is the next one? I want to know, because
well, we're going to be dropping not necessarily a quiz, but it's our 200th episode this autumn. So watch this space for a big live event, bigger than a pub quiz. Kind of lots of things involved. But anyway, to cap it off, I in early 2024, the show had grown to the point that I just quit my job, and I was like, I want to focus on this. I love film. I want it to be my full-time thing, and we've been doing that since. And I mean, you gave me a very nice introduction. I don't know what else to say, but yeah, we've been very fortunate. And we're very lucky to have a great audience and to have spoken to some great people. So yeah, and I mean, deservedly so. I mean, I myself, I'm such a big fan of you guys. We met you. We should probably just so we've met you at the pub quiz, right?
Yes. So I've been sort of listening. This is actually quite hilarious, because I had sort of been listening kind of almost when I started this podcast. I think a couple sort of months or so after I started this podcast, I started sort of watching more of you guys' stuff. And the month before the first episode of the Popcorn Podcast dropped, we were the first episode we were talking about the Oscar nominees for, I think it was the 2023 Oscars, and one of those films was Babylon, right? Yeah. And I don't know if I've told you that. I don't think I have, but in the December, so 2022 December, me and a couple of friends, we went to see Babylon at the BFI IMAX, and lo and behold, who was also at the BFI IMAX that same night. So we didn't speak to you, but we all sort of we saw you guys sort of just walk into the auditorium, when I say saw, I mean our heads were like this because you and James, like it's kind of crazy how if one of you was this tall, but both of you,
it's a package deal.
It is. It is.
I'm 6'4", James is 6'6", so yeah.
And we all looked at each other. We're like, holy shit, these guys are so tall. And we're like, we've seen some of your clips on social media, etc. Like, oh my god, you guys were, So yeah, that was the unofficial sort of meeting. I would say the first time we saw you guys, but the first time we officially met was I think at your
I was aware of your stuff by that point anyway. Because obviously it's look at this great production quality.
Oh, thank you.
Shout out to Clara off camera who's doing a great job, by the way.
Shout out to Clara. And two and a bit years later, here we are. We are. So George, I usually what I do at the start of every episode with new guests to kind of get a little sort of sense of your personal film tastes. I do run around of quickfire questions, film favorites, as we like to call it here. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to get just sort of straight into them and just sort of interrogate you for the next couple of minutes.
Do it.
Quickfire questions. Usually these aren't very quickfire. Usually we all sort of go off on tangent. So no worries.
I intend to go off on tangent.
So the first question, potentially the hardest of them all, is what is your favorite film?
Before Sunset.
Great pick.
I love the whole trilogy. Yeah. But if you had to, gun to my head, that film is. I could talk about it for days. Yeah. I love it. It's sublime.
Clara, isn't that Arthur's favorite film as well? It's like younger brother's favorite.
Shout out Arthur. Good taste.
What's a film that makes you laugh?
Good question. You know what I've realised when I read this question is I don't watch a lot of comedies actually regularly. I feel like the heyday of comedy's kind of passed and I kind of catch it wherever. But to answer your question, Bridesmaids.
Great.
Can't
great
go wrong
pick.
with Bridesmaids.
What's a film that makes you cry?
Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah.
Really,
What's a film you think is underrated?
Loads. One of my favourite questions you can ever ask someone, okay? Yeah. I want to give a shout out to Peter Berg, who directed Deepwater Horizon and Patriots Day. Yeah. When you look at them, look very middle of the road, Mark Wahlberg, based on a true story, slightly playing to the conservative crowd of America kind of movies. But I tell you what, you watch those movies, they're really, really good. They're really efficient and really effective. And I've always liked Deepwater Horizon. I've always thought this is so much better than it was marketed to be. Yeah. I watched Patriots Day this year and I thought the story was incredible. It was unbelievably tense. There's a great bit of action at the end, which was all true fact. Great cast. Those two movies.
I still need to watch them. I think I kind of sort of just missed them sort of coming out of, I think it was like sixth form time when I was in. It was I remember watching like American Sniper, and for me at the time it sort of fitted into that kind of mold of like these patriotic American sort of films. But yeah, I would definitely give them a watch.
It's a solid watch.
Yeah. What's a film you think is overrated?
Fight Club. Promising Young Woman, and I think Everything Everywhere All at Once. Okay. Now, I feel different things about all of those films, but I wanted to give you sort of semi-new and also classics.
Can I just say, the gasp from me about Everything Everywhere All at Once. So this is kind of contradictory because I've given it a 5-star. I think it's incredible film. I have come to slowly realize that something about Everything Everywhere All at Once isn't quite sticking with me in the long run. And when I watch it, I'm reminded of how amazing it is. But in the long run, it's not a film that I regularly think about that much. So maybe you're onto something.
I mean, I will say that with Everything Everywhere, it's a bit of a personal taste.
Sure.
I do find it like exhausting. I love how different it is. I love how exhilarating it is. And I love how there are some people, I know a lot of people who have like ADHD have been like, oh my God, this like represents me so much. I'm like, love that. Love that for you. But I think it's just not for me. Also, and Promising Young Woman, I don't normally talk about, but I had this, I was thinking about it recently. I think now nobody really talks about that film and no one really rates it. But at the time, in this weird COVID bubble, everyone was really excited for it. I myself was also really excited for it. And then I saw it and I really think it's really, really poor and really lets down a lot of issues and I came out of it and I was like, there's no way this film could win any awards, and it won an Oscar.
It did.
Anyway, I think it's overrated. And Fight Club I just find a bit obnoxious. I just can't. I've tried so many times to sort of get to it. I like David Fincher, but I'm sorry.
Fair enough. All the film bros are going to come you, but there you go. What is your favourite or one of your favourite performances in a film?
Obviously, you want me to sit here and say Daniel Day-Lewis in There Will Be Blood, which is great, okay, and Philip Seymour Hoffman in anything. But I want to give a shout out to an underrated performance that I do think is amazing that doesn't get enough credit, which is Logan Lerman in The Perks of Being a Wallflower. I think he's so good in that. He's so amazing. And like the fact that he hasn't quite had the career off the back of that we kind of expected him to be. There is rumors that he's going to be Beast in the new X-Men.
That would be a great cast.
Which would be great. And, you know, I think whenever I see him, I'm like, you were great. But his performance in that film is so delicate and so injured. I think it's fantastic.
It is fantastic. I remember the first time I watched it, bawled.
Also, I want to give a shout out to Andrew Scott in All of Us Strangers as well, which is criminal.
He wasn't nominated.
That he wasn't nominated for a BAFTA or an Oscar.
You would think the BAFTA, surely.
The BAFTA, like playing to the, you know, the British-Irish crowd. But no.
George, what is your favourite cinema to go to?
Good question. I do love Picture House Central in central London because it's comfortable. They show a real good range of programming. It's got a great bar upstairs. I have a lot of good memories of seeing things there. Like if someone says to me, "Oh, we're going to go see it at Picture House Central," I'm like, nice. But you can't beat the BFI IMAX for just the place to see the biggest films. You know, when the next Nolan film drops, you always have to go see it at the IMAX. But I also obviously want to, because of so much of cinema is tied to nostalgia, I want to give a shout out to the Showcase Cinema Deluxe in Reading. Winner specifically, where I saw all my films for in my entire youth, and I worked for 3 months post-uni. Love it there.
Amazing. A fellow cinema worker as well, yeah. What is a bad film that you love?
The Flash.
You love The Flash?
Mate, honestly, James and I saw that at a screening and we had the best time. Will I ever watch it again? Probably not. But every time we think about it, we're like, undeniably had a massive laugh. Like yes, so much of it is bad, and the CGI is the worst CGI I've seen this side of the year 2000. But it's almost so bad, it's like a deliberate aesthetic choice. Yeah. We had a great time, and at the end, with spoilers for The Flash, although no one's going to watch it, when fucking they do the Batman gig and Batman gag, and George Clooney turns up, we were slapping our thighs, clapping. We were like, "This is so funny." Flash, man, The Flash.
Gosh, I've never heard that before, but there you go. What is your biggest film ick or red flag?
I looked at this question quite a lot and I overthought it. I would say that it's not in a film necessarily, although there are things that films do that can be, you know, exposition dumps or time jumps at the end of a movie. I recently saw Opus, which like had this really egregious time jump, which kind of feels like it's been like a reshoot's been done later on in the production. But a big film ick for me is with people and their opinions about films. People who don't watch films that are older than them. That's a big ick for me. If people only I know some people who only watch movies that came out post 2000, and I find that strange. If you really do like film, you've got to know your history. I'm not saying everyone has to walk around with Casablanca in their pocket. But at least have a sort of respect.
Casablanca.
Good movie. But at least have a kind of respect and a kind of awareness that what we have now comes from a history.
Oh yeah. I 100% agree with you. Yeah. One of my most infuriating sort of scenarios was, so I have two younger brothers, and one time we had like loads of family friends, and I was usually the oldest, and I was trying to show them Signs of the Lambs. Dylan, what year was this made? Like 90s? And then like, oh no, we can't watch it. It's too. What are you talking about? Yeah. Crazy. So if you're one of these people, don't be.
Yeah. But be mind people.
What's your biggest film green flag?
Green flag. You know, I just love it when a film really engages in silence. And I don't necessarily mean complete absolute silence. I mean just using no dialogue. Like, I guess you could say it's true cinema, show don't tell. But what I've noticed from watching a film is that can really make you lean in. I've seen it in a cinema space, getting an audience to really concentrate. And whether it's action films where you're trying to create tension, or whether it's in intimacy scenes, you are allowing a space for the audience to really engage their brain, even if they don't want to. They're doing it on a subconscious level, and I think it's just it's the red flag is when people say, "Oh, that makes films slow." It doesn't. Like, using silence is perfect.
It's also a good experiment if you watch a film without any sound, just to see if you can have a gauge of the story without any dialogue or music or anything like that.
That's what I try. Like when you're on a plane and you catch the film that someone else is sitting across from you, you sort of get the story, even though you're not. Yeah,
it's a good pick. What's your favorite film score?
Okay. Favorite film score, you obviously want me to say Interstellar, which is obviously amazing and obviously fantastic, but it's spoken for, okay, guys? Go on TikTok, you'll come across it every time you scroll. I love that score to pieces. It is amazing. But I want to give a shout out to the best score from the worst film, which is Blonde, the Marilyn Monroe movie that came out on Netflix a couple of years ago. Amazing Nick Cave and Warren Ellis score on that. Really haunting. I listen to that in autumn usually when the sort of the leaves are falling and the weather's really grey and it's so atmospheric. I want to give a shout out to Steve Pemberton's score for Steve Jobs, Mika Levy's score for Under the Skin, and not a film, but like close enough, Michael Kamen's score for Band of Brothers, the TV show. There you go.
That's some great picks. I'm also so happy that you said good score in a bad film, because this is one of my, like, I'm such like a film score person, and one of my like biggest ideas to do on the podcast is to talk about amazing scores in terrible films.
Yeah.
I think it's such an interesting topic.
Yeah.
Hear me out. Have you seen The Last Airbender?
No, I haven't.
Yeah. Well, there's no need for fantastic score by James Newton Howard. It's amazing. Like Clash of the Titans as well isn't great. Score's fantastic. Like it's an interesting subject.
Also, anything by Johnny Greenwood is amazing.
Oh yeah, Johnny Greenwood's fantastic. Horror or comedy?
Comedy, even though I realise in an average year I end up watching more horror.
Sci-fi or fantasy?
Sci-fi.
Blockbuster or indie?
Indie.
What's a film you wish you watched in the cinema?
It's a good question. I think if I could go back, two answers. Both 90s films, actually. I don't know why. But The Matrix. I'd love to have seen The Matrix like opening night and just sort of felt that in the audience. It to sort of wash over. To be receiving that film in the context of the 90s and how people were thinking about tech and how people were thinking about the future would have been so exciting. I also really would have loved to have seen Pulp Fiction without knowing anything about it. And that film, you know, it's so refreshing. I mean, imagine if you had no concept of what Pulp Fiction was. What a refreshing film. And you would have just gone, what is this? This is wild.
Yeah. Great picks. Who's a director whose work you want to watch more of?
I mean, I was going to say somebody like Gus Van Sant or things like that. But actually, I mean, respect Gus Van Sant. But I actually think it's Scorsese, which is... I've seen a lot of Scorsese.
You guys just do an episode.
We did. And he gets a lot of love. And like, why does he need a name check? Like, but what I realised in just talking about his filmography recently, I do have a lot of gaps. I've not seen Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. I've not seen The Passion of the Christ. I haven't seen... Bring Out the Dead, and I haven't seen, and there's a lot of his films that I've only seen once a long time ago, like King of Comedy, Gangs of New York, The Aviator, and he is one of the best filmmakers working today, if not all time, and I really want to go back and be. I kind of think I should be a Scorsese completist because
you're almost there. It sounds like you're almost there.
There, but it needs work.
Yeah. I've got also a couple as well that I need to check off of his list for sure as well. So George, if you were stuck on a desert island, what 4 films would you take with you?
Interesting phrasing, because it'd be very easy for you to be like, what are your
Letterboxd top 4 favorites?
But Desert Island is a crucial one. So it's similar to my Letterboxd top 4.
Yeah.
At George Pulp, by the way, if you want to follow me on Letterboxd. Just plug for myself.
Okay.
So, obviously Before Sunset, because it's my favourite film. You've got to put it in there. My next choice... My girlfriend was always like, that's not a film, and I'm like, it is a film. Stop Making Sense, the Talking Heads concert film, which is directed by Jonathan Demme, who went on to do The Silence of the Lambs in Philadelphia. It is a proper film. They re-released it in cinemas recently. I love that film. I love that band. I love that. I mean, you can't count it as a film score because it's a live concert thing, but everything about that experience is amazing. And when I saw it in cinema recently, I was like, this is a true work of art, and I would love to have that on Desert Island. When you're done with narrative film, let's watch a great concert. I'd have to say, I would say Pulp Fiction, because why not? It's fun when it needs to be. It's got shocking, bits of violence if you want to. Like, it's quite a long film, but because it's so episodic, you're kind of getting 5 films for the price of 1. And then after all of that, let's go for something lovely like Little Women. Greta Gerwig's Little Women. Great film, and great picks. That's a nice little range of genres there. And finally, George, what is your most anticipated film for the rest of 2025? That's a very good question. I mean, even though I'm not like a diehard Marvel person, like I am excited for the Fantastic Four and all that stuff. But there's 2 Frankenstein movies coming out.
Yes.
Technically, there's Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein for Netflix, and Maggie Gyllenhaal's The Bride with Jessie Buckley, who's one of my favourite actors working at the moment, and Christian Bale, who is one of the best actors I think of all time. So I'm really looking forward to seeing The Bride. Guillermo del Toro doing Frankenstein with Oscar Isaac sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So
is that this year?
That's this year. Oh, actually, no. I know what my other answer was. Weapons by Zach Cregger. Zach Cregger, who did Barbarian, which I loved so much. Barbarian. Do you like Barbarian?
I love Barbarian. We still haven't seen. I still haven't shown it to you, have I?
Slaps. It's so good. So much. That was a great cinema experience. My mates saw that and just like, So that Zach Cregger's new movie Weapons, which I know when after Barbarian, when they went into production, there was a real bidding war for that script going between the studios, and it looks great. Josh Brolin in there and Julia Garner.
I saw the first teaser for that with the kids all running
with their arms out. Yeah. No
it's
way.
exciting.
It's coming out in August.
Yeah, we will be there. And yeah, that kind of wraps up the Quickfire Questions segment. Thank you so much for playing that. I know you guys sort of do... your guys' sort of version of this is film bites. You ask various sort of people that you interview. Recently, you guys did Alexander Skarsgård.
Yeah, we're quite happy with this, and so Film Bites is this format that we don't do on the podcast. It's just exclusively on social media, and we do it 9x16. We do it usually outside with just a microphone, just make it more spontaneous and fun. And we've been doing it with a lot of film creators, and a lot of people have been on this show with you, have been on Film Bites with us. But yeah, recently we've been able to kind of get onto the PR circuit. And we've had Alexander Skarsgård, which was amazing, and Paul Feig, who directed Bridesmaids. We're hoping to get more and more of those opportunities because it's just a fun way of asking questions that isn't always sat down in a junket space. So yeah,
Alexander Skarsgård. I think I watched that last night. I think you guys uploaded it last night, and he's interesting character.
He was a really nice guy.
Yeah,
he's just he's very funny. He's quite quirky.
Yeah.
And probably a little bit nervous as well. And I do sympathise these actors. You walk into a room and everyone is there for you. You're aware of all the eyes on you. But he was really chill, and he hadn't seen the questions. We'd sent him the questions, but he hadn't necessarily prepped for them, which is fine. We don't expect that. But so he just improvised and ran with it, and he was good.
Yeah. I think it's like the first time I've ever seen James like a bit. So you said like mushroom soup or something?
Yeah, he was completely trolling us. I'm like, whatever, mate, whatever makes a good clip, go for it.
Fun stuff, good stuff. So guys, as the sort of title of this episode will tell you, we're not reviewing a film. We're not reviewing a new film. George and I are actually going to be discussing some of the hottest, most revered, most acclaimed, some of the most exciting directors, filmmakers working in the industry today. Everyone from sort of veteran directors to sort of up-and-coming, exciting auteurs who are slowly paving their own way in cinema and have amassed sort of a more recent buzz. These are some of, to put it simply, some of the best directors working today. We aren't going to include anyone whose careers have come to an end, who are sadly no longer with us. I think I would love to do an episode specifically on the Kubricks, on
David Lynch now.
David Lynch, yeah. Gosh.
There you go.
R.I.P. So essentially, guys, how this is going to work is we have roughly around 15 to 20 directors sitting in this bowl right in front of us. So George and I are going to take turns, and we're going to pick a director at random to essentially give our takes on I've sort of said what the best film, what we think is their best film, what we think is their worst film. But since this is such a subjective and personal decision, it is sort of going to be more aligned with what's your favorite film, what's your least favorite film, and maybe a couple of shout outs to some underrated picks maybe here and there. As I was prepping this, guys, I do want to say it is kind of uncanny, a bit sad how there aren't more women directors in here, for various reasons. But I do want to just sort of give a disclaimer and just say, we completely acknowledge that, and I'd love to do an episode on women directors, female directors at some point as well. Yeah. Absolutely. Since you are the guest, George, would you like to pick the first director?
In this bowl.
This bowl there, yes, that's correct.
Okay. The first one.
Sorry, I did put these on sticky notes.
So that's okay.
We hope it might make for some nice ASMR.
It's someone we've already talked about today. It is Martin Scorsese.
Okay.
So, favourite film and least favourite film of theirs. I would say It's funnily enough, when you have a director like Martin Scorsese, it's really difficult because he is amazing. I'll tell you my least favorite first, which is Cape Fear. I tried to watch that a couple of years ago, and I found it quite camp in a way, and just really off the style and everything, just really violent and nasty and really naff in a way. Just the whole thing didn't work. But when you talk about a great favorite Scorsese film, like I don't want to say The Wolf of Wall Street because I'm aware of the bro-ish connotation, but like, god damn it, that film is fun. That film is so much fun. It's 3 hours, and Leo is great, and it's so energetic, and like, I can happily throw on The Wolf of Wall Street anytime. The Departed is great as well. Goodfellas is amazing. But you know what? I'm going to be diplomatic.
Okay.
And I'm just going to double down and say that because not enough people champion it and not enough people saw it, I'm going to say Killers of the Flower Moon, which was a great recent Martin Scorsese film. I thought was fantastic.
Indeed. I'm sort of similar to you as well. I've literally kind of noted down The Departed / Wolf of Wall Street. Wolf of Wall Street, I think I've watched the most. Yeah. Without a shadow of a doubt. I think it is kind of the most sort of fun, breezy, potentially the quickest 3 hour film that I've seen, and there's so many quotable hilarious moments in there. My worst or my least favorite is actually Gangs of New York. I think I struggle with that film from time to time. I've only seen it I think once or twice, and I think Daniel Day-Lewis, every time he's on screen, that's an instant kind of lock, and I feel like all the times he's not really there or he doesn't really have a presence, the quality of the film for me just isn't quite as high. And I don't think Cameron Diaz is particularly good in it. I think she was a little bit miscast. Still a pretty good film, and I love like the first 20 minutes as well when Liam Neeson's in it, and there's this huge sort of conflict that takes place. But that's kind of my least favorite. I do want to say, and we won't be giving all our underrateds for all of these directors, but I do really want to say, and it came really close to actually my favorite Scorsese, and this might be a hot take, I love Silence.
Great.
I love Silence.
Does.
I love Silence.
I can't say I join you. I don't think it's a bad film, but like, it's all a bit rainy and dour and sad, isn't it? And lots of people talking about the fate of the father and the padre. We must go to... I'm just like, whoa.
I just think it's a gorgeous film. Gorgeously shot. I think it's Andrew Garfield's best performance for me. Yeah, I don't know. It just hit at the right time for me. And it was... I don't know. I feel like more people... should watch it, and it's not a typical Scorsese film. I know he's done Passion of the Christ, and it's a little bit different, but coming off Wolf of Wall Street to Silence,
that's it. I think
crazy.
I remember. I think it might have been Robbie Collin. He's a broadsheet critic, film critic, and he was saying like, really, if you were to capture in a bottle the skill of Martin Scorsese, it is in the pivot between those two films, following each other, going from Wolf of Wall Street to Silence. One is so excessive and so massive, and the other one is so stripped back. And Scorsese has a real interesting Catholic religious kind of thematic thing running through all of his films, and he was trying to make Silence for decades. And even though I probably won't watch it again, it isn't a bad film. I love that you love it.
I really get along with that.
How many times have you seen it?
Twice.
Good for you.
Twice.
That was good.
That's 6 hours. Yeah. You guys. I'm going to pick the next one. Okay. All right. Paul Thomas Anderson.
PTA. Okay. My least... Well, what would you like to hear first? My least favourite or my favourite? Either or.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd say my least favourite is Inherent Vice.
Okay. This is one I haven't seen from PTA.
Yeah. Look, obviously there's corners of the internet and corners of PTA fans who are like, oh no man, PTA Inherent Vice is so cool. And for those who don't know, Inherent Vice is based on like this Thomas Pynchon novel, and it's this rambling, almost deliberately obscure private detective kind of story, and Joaquin Phoenix is the lead with these sort of lamb chop sideburns, and it's got obviously a massive cast, Benicio del Toro and Josh Brolin, and but I remember seeing that in the cinema and it being so dry and difficult to get through and just kind of annoying in its incomprehensibility, and now we're going to throw Martin Short into the film and then we're going to do this. Really not fun. But my favourite PTA film, it's a close call, but I'm afraid, guys, I am going to be that guy, and I am going to say There Will Be Blood.
Yeah.
Which I do think is phenomenal. I was going to say my underrated, if I may.
Yeah.
Well, not underrated, but the close second was Phantom Thread.
I have literally got the same sort of first and underrated as you. I'm even very much tempted to even say Phantom Thread for me as kind of my favorite. I think There Will Be Blood for so many reasons is probably rightly so, hailed as PTA's probably magnum opus. I drink your milkshake. I haven't seen Inherent Vice, and my answer probably might be that. But from the PTA films I have seen, Licorice Pizza I still enjoy.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
Just not quite as much as the others, and a lot of people take issue with the fact of the whole age gap situation going on, and whatever.
I think also I've always found Boogie Nights a little bit overrated. I love the filmmaking in it. I think it's one of the best needle drops in it. It's the swimming pool scene where it's playing Driver's Seat by this band called Sniffin' Tears, and it's just slaps. It's great.
Yeah.
And the whole opening is fantastic. But I don't know, it's just I think it's dated a little bit, and I think its whole conversation and an attitude to pornography and the porn industry feels a little bit queasy. This idea that like, hey, but we're all kind of a family in our own way, and I'm like, you've not really tackled the sort of major issues that are in this industry. You've not sort of looked it in the face. You've kind of put this rose-tinted 70s gleam on it, and although it's stylish and fun, I can't help but think, Emerald Fennell, even though I just said I didn't like Promising Young Woman earlier, to her credit, she said Boogie Nights would be a completely different film if it was made by a woman. And once I thought that, I was like, oh my God, that's actually really true.
Good shout out there. Yeah. George, would you like to pick up the next director?
Okay. We have got Damien Chazelle.
Ooh.
Okay.
That's tricky.
Look, guys, here we go again. Look, we know where this is going. This is going.
Really?
I think we know where this is going. Well, for me, and like, look, I feel bad for having given Wolf of Wall Street airtime, but yes, Whiplash is amazing. It is phenomenal, and it is absolutely my favourite Damien Chazelle film. I think it's brilliant. I think it's so tight. I've seen that film about 5 times, and I really admire the execution of it. And as Chazelle's career has expanded and got bigger, I commend it, but I just love the leanness of that film. It works perfect. There's no need for any more of it. There's not an ounce of fat on that film. And I will give an underrated before I give my least favorite. My underrated is probably First Man, which I think is a great film, and one of Ryan Gosling's best performances. And then like least favorite, I need to revisit La La Land.
Oh.
Well, actually, no, Babylon is my least favorite. Sorry.
I was going to say La La Land. What?
No. Babylon is my. I love 90 minutes of Babylon, and some of it is fantastic, but it keeps going. It just keeps going, and I'm like, stop, Damien, stop! And so it kind of really blunts the impact. Have you been watching The Studio?
No, I need to watch. I've got friends who've been raving about it.
There's a whole episode about them watching a cut of a movie that is like perfect at 2 hours, but then the film keeps going, and they're like, oh my God, that now became the worst film ever.
And that's how you feel about Babylon.
And that's how I feel about Babylon. Sorry, La La Land. All I was going to say is that was one of the most hyped films I think I've ever been experienced. So I saw it and I was like, oh, I don't know if that was for me. And I saw it again a week later, and I don't know how I feel about it, but I have a thing called the 5-year rule, which is that any opinion on a film is only valid for 5 years, and then you need to rewatch it again. And I haven't seen La La Land for 8 years, so I will go and rewatch it soon.
Yeah, check it out. I do want to quickly say I am inclined to agree with you here. I think Whiplash, fantastic film. I remember recommending this to people back in school, and then I didn't realize just how kind of popular it is amongst the film community, and rightly so. We actually recently went to see Whiplash in concert.
Oh wow! Oh fun!
And I mean, that was insane, because we've also seen La La Land in concert at the Royal Albert Hall, but this was at the Barbican, and we saw that drum solo literally in lifetime. It was just surreal experience. You kind of got to see it to believe it, but yeah, completely agree with you. One of the best edited finales of a film, or just films in general as well.
Amazing.
J.K. Simmons, fantastic. Yeah, brilliant film.
No notes. Okay. Yes, he gets hit. Yes, the car gets hit by a lorry and he keeps walking up. It's a movie. Come on.
Ooh, okay. So we have got Sofia Coppola. Right. So I think my favorite from who is Sofia Coppola? To be completely honest, I haven't seen too many Sofia Coppola films. I've only seen a handful, but within that handful, one of my all-time favorites is Lost in Translation. I really, really love Lost in Translation. I think it was kind of watched it right time. Weirdly, I don't know, it was during COVID as well, so it was kind of that sort of melancholic touch that really just clicked with me. Kind of a bit weird that Scarlett Johansson was 17 when she filmed this, and Bill Murray. Sorry to drop that, but yeah, she was. And Bill Murray, is Bill Murray, but I know.
What was happening in the industry in that? Keira Knightley was 17 in Love Actually as well.
And Pirates, yeah. I just like ruined everyone's childhood.
Continue.
I don't know if I can after that. But I think Sofia Coppola just really managed to strike gold and really capture a mood. And the film is about so many, and in many ways, the whole age difference thing is an important plot detail, because it's less about, and this is kind of weird to say, but it's less about finding connection between, like physical connection, but more so two people's almost souls kind of sort of meet, and it's about kind of exploring that side of relationships, I guess. She's in a relationship. Bill Murray is just sort of divorced and coming out of it, and he's a sort of kind of veteran celeb. And I think that film is also quite hilarious as well. There's a lot of really funny moments that crack me up, but I think, on the whole, I really love Lost in Translation, and I know Her is also a film by Spike Jonze that came out sort of in the 2010s that is also somewhat similar, also different, but I don't know. It just has, right place.
I know what you mean. Sorry, it's that. It's you're right. It's not. There's me going, but it's like it's not a romantic relationship, or at least it's not explicitly.
Yeah,
it's not a sexual relationship. It is a film about loneliness.
Yes,
and finding connection in when you are considered that feeling of homesickness and cultural alienation.
Yes.
I rate it. I haven't seen it in quite a long time. I went to uni with a guy who kept his Sofia Coppola love, everything about it. He loved Sofia Coppola so much, which is great. But sometimes when you're in that kind of orbit, that proximity, there's no oxygen left to talk about Sofia Coppola. So you kind of go, okay.
Yeah. Fair enough. I think my least favorite Sofia Coppola, like I said, I haven't seen too many. I don't really know what to say. On the Rocks, maybe. I don't know if you've seen that.
It's fine.
It is completely fine.
It's on the. That's so interesting to bring up On the Rocks, because I think that film, which is perfectly, you've got Rashida Jones, you've got Bill Murray. There's something about it that feels very just. It's kind of contrived and not attached to reality. I have this thing. Talk about red flag in a movie. It's kind of something that bothers me, where movies about sort of 30 to 40-year-olds or for a main character, what they'll do, usually in indie comedies as well, they want their character to be cool, right? So they'll be like, they're kind of creative. So they'll be doing something like they're a photographer, or they're a writer, or they're a journalist, or they're something like that. But however, in order to make the movie look cool, they give them a massive apartment and make it look really nice. So in this, I think she's an out-of-work journalist or something
George,
like that.
I don't even remember.
Right, but she's got an amazing brownstone or an amazing loft in New York. And I'm like, there's a disconnect here. Stop telling me, because really I want to see the realities of being a struggling creative.
Yeah.
And then also there's a scene where Bill Murray it just rips across Manhattan in a soft top convertible or whatever, and evades traffic laws, gets pulled over by the police, and he's just like, hey guys, it's me. And I'm like, this is kind of a queasy bit of white privilege is going on here, my friend, especially with American law enforcement. So.
Yeah. For me, I just think that film kind of is almost an afterthought of Lost in Translation, mainly because it has Bill Murray in it as well, and it just does. It's a incredibly forgettable film, and like I said, I can't even remember she's like sort of. Is she like a single mother from what I remember, or something like that? And then she's like that.
Because she's in a relationship with Damon Wayans.
Oh yeah.
And she thinks he's having an affair.
That's what it is.
He's away.
That's what
he's away.
Yeah.
She's left holding the baby, literally.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that's maybe your least favorite.
Maybe. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say that I would change my original answer and say a director I want to see more work of is Sofia Coppola. Because I opened my phone and just had a quick look through, and I've seen some of her films, but I haven't seen The Bling Ring, which I heard was really misunderstood and is actually very good. I haven't caught Priscilla yet, which I've heard was great. I haven't seen Lost in Translation for a while, so I don't want to give an opinion about that. But I will just say I really like The Virgin Suicides. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I saw it a long time ago.
Yeah, and really great soundtrack in that. I think it was her debut film, and there's an energy and a really stylishness to that film that I think is really nice. So I give Virgin Suicides a shout.
Fair enough. I do really want to revisit The Bling Ring, because I watched The Bling Ring because everyone back in the day had a crush on Emma Watson, just sort of coming out of Harry Potter, and this was like the first role she had not attached to that franchise, and I was like, yes, I'm going to watch it for Emma Watson. I have no idea who Sofia Coppola is, and I was like 13. So sorry.
And I was like to have a crush on Emma Watson. That's okay.
I was 13. Okay. And I just I didn't get. I don't think fully understood the film, or at least what it was trying to do. So to watch it as an adult would be, I think, a different experience. So yeah.
My turn.
Your turn, yeah.
Oh, the big one.
Oh.
Christopher Nolan.
Oh, there he is.
Has made quite a few good films. I will give him a credit. He has made quite a few good films. Absolute favourite of his, and one of my favourite films, is The Prestige. I love that movie. I've seen it so many times. It was quite foundational for me around about 12, 13 years old, getting into film, and rewatching that film endlessly is such a rewarding experience. Not just as a piece of entertainment, but as just kind of a deeper study of filmmaking. And I specifically have a vivid memory of rewatching it for like the third time, and there's an opening shot after you've done the initial prologue where the camera goes through the Coloradan mountains as he's on his way to Colorado Springs. And I was just like, this is brilliant. This is amazing. Love that film, and I champion it. And then my least favourite of Nolan's absolutely is Tenet. I really have a problem with Tenet. Look, again, with all of Nolan's films, incredibly well made and beautiful, and well, not beautiful, but like, you know, well crafted and amazing to look at. But I just fundamentally believe that you cannot make a movie about advanced thermodynamics and advanced astrophysics in a way that is exciting. And I really get bothered when there's the scene where Clemence Posey is like, you know, don't understand it, just feel it. And I'm like, that would be great, Nolan, if there was a single pulse and life in this movie. How can you tell me to feel it when your character doesn't even have a name? They're just called the protagonist. Well, come on, Nolan. I think it's like inert and like doesn't function. It's like a car that's missing a wheel. It just doesn't work for me. I also remember when I first saw that film, people I think were really lost in the audience naturally, and it got to the end and it's like, well, this isn't a spoiler, but like someone says to John David Washington gives someone like a bullet or something, and they're like, what's this for? And he's like, posterity. And so someone behind me went, who's posterity? And I was like, not a person, but I can understand why you'd think that. Anyway.
Fair enough. I know that's popular underrated least favorite for a lot of people in terms of Nolan's filmography. My least favorite is actually his first, and I know this is kind of a cheap pick, but Following. Yeah, I just think I don't think it's a bad film. I think it's, you can kind of see the inception of a lot of his ideas. They work in the context of the film, but it's just naturally a very much a dumbed down version of what he's then able to explore in his other works. I just think, just for that kind of personal reason. Your favorite is The Prestige. I think Prestige is basically a masterpiece. I'm sorry to be that guy, but for me, 2008, summer of 2008 was a life-changing time for me when I went to see The Dark Knight in cinemas. I mean, it was the first taste of me kind of getting superhero films that could be more than what the genre kind of confined them to be. And I remember seeing that and just being I think that the film is moves like a freight train. Recently rewatched
like the freight train in Inception.
There you go. That's 2 Inception references for you. I think it is more or less a perfect film. I mean, Heath Ledger's performance in it, and really sounding like a film bro here, but it's just that performance basically immortalized him. One of my all-time favorites. I think I'm like screaming and shouting by the time the end credits. It just ticks all the boxes for me. And I know there's been this discourse online about what's a better film, The Batman or The Dark Knight. A lot of people who are saying The Batman just are almost criticizing The Dark Knight for being kind of not Batman accurate or not comic. Guys, it's a flipping adaptation. Go rewatch The Dark Knight and come back and we can have a conversation. But yeah, that for me. Nolan is one of my favorite filmmakers, sort of. Sorry to again be that guy, but and he's made a lot of great films, but that for me is just the pinnacle. If I were to say underrated though, and again, sorry to keep sounding like a Batman person, but I think Batman Begins is, I think, the best superhero origin story film. I think it is brilliant. I think it is. I have such a memorable time watching that, in my life, and I think it feels completely different to The Dark Knight. I think each 3 films, I think maybe Rises and Dark Knight feel more kind of
peace.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas Batman Begins, he really kind of, I think Mark Kermode actually said this back in whenever the film came out, but it's a very indie style approach in terms of creating Gotham City. It feels lived in, it feels grimy, there's rain constantly. It's quite a departure from the next 2 films, and I just think everything, and he brings his kind of non-linear fashion that works, and Fantastic film, I think, underrated. But do you have an underrated Nolan?
Oh, an underrated Nolan.
By any chance?
It's hard because he's like one of the most rated
exactly
filmmakers. I will just say that I've always liked Dunkirk, but I caught it. I think I'd seen it twice, and I caught it on TV like last year, and I hadn't seen it for a few years. And I love it when you just like you just happen to catch something, so it kind of catches you in a different kind of environment where you'd normally watch a film. And I was really taken aback by how emotional I found it. And I really, towards the end of that film, I was really struck by the fear in that movie and the bleakness as well. Like, I've always loved the shot of the soldier who just walks into the sea.
Yes.
Like, that's harrowing. That's harrowing. And like, I don't think I see that quite in Nolan's other films. And just the sort of whole final third act of Dunkirk with the oil and the water and getting home on the train and Tom Hardy's thing and just all of that really struck me this time. I think people underrate the emotional ability of Nolan in that film because he isn't often a director you associate with being emotionally. You don't put emotional intelligence at the top of his films necessarily.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think I've seen a lot of people criticize Dunkirk for not being character driven or just having like a bit like Tenet, sort of just having them almost as just kind of pieces on a chessboard kind of thing, and just watching them do. They don't have characters in of themselves. They don't have a backstory or anything like a typical narrative would. But that's exactly the point. Like, is you're viewing these people, these boys, these children, as like sort of just in amongst this horrible situation. Absolutely. And that's where the emotion and the empathy come from. So
I think like people forget that the scene when they finally, it's about halfway through when I think it's Phil Whitehead and Harry Styles get on the ship and they go down and there's the tea and the jam and the stuff, and then the torpedo hits and the sound design is so piercing and the sound of the water rushing through, it's really anxiety inducing thing. So Dunkirk is a rated movie, but I really think people don't value just the emotional power of that film.
Yeah, it's a great pick.
It's your go. I could talk about movies for hours.
I know. We're almost an hour into this and we haven't even got through half of these. Okay. David Fincher.
Mr. Finch.
Yes, Mr. Finch indeed.
Okay, look, I said earlier I don't really rate Fight Club, so one could argue that that's near the bottom for me, but I also think Benjamin Button is really overrated and a bit naff personally. Like, look, I'm not asking, I don't need Fincher, all of his films to be criminal and sleek and Mank was not great as well. So here's my thing. Okay, let me give you a proper cleaner answer. I think Fight Club's overrated. I think Benjamin Button's a bit naff, but I think Mank is quite poor. And what bothers me about Mank is that he made Fincher. It was involved. He started the production of it, but was involved elsewhere with Mindhunter, which was this fantastic show on Netflix about the origin of the team that created the term serial killer and profiled serial killers. Really dark, harrowing series, but was great. Had Jonathan Groff in it, Holt McCallany, and he just stopped making it. He got to the end of season 2 and he went, it's too tiring. I'm going to make Mank and maybe the Killer. And everyone went, but it was really good and it sort of ended on a cliffhanger. Yeah. He went, I don't know. And I was like, you can't do that. You can't do that to us. So that's what bothers me about Mank.
There's a little bitter taste in your mouth about that. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting about Mank. I don't really have a huge interest in Mank. I mean, I know it's in terms of sort of what it's exploring, Orson Welles, Citizen Kane, or the origins of, and it doesn't really do it for me, but I know that because it was David Fincher's father, wasn't it? He started, so he originally wrote the script for it, and then he passed away. So I think it was, in many ways, for David Fincher, his most personal project, which might give a bit of context to the whole Mindhunter departure. Yeah, but I just didn't really get along with that film that much. I think technically, as most David Fincher films, it's impressive and great, and it has some good performances in it, but nowhere near as exciting or riveting as some of his other works. So have I put Mank as my least favorite from David Fincher? No, I haven't. I put Alien 3.
You know what?
But I don't even mind Alien 3
I think he gets a tough rap.
He does. And it was the studio's fault as well.
Yeah, it was the studio's fault. Like that production was like, it was a production from hell.
Yeah.
And the fact that film is basically watchable.
Yeah.
It is watchable.
It is.
Charles
Dance in it as well.
Yeah, Charles Dance, that's right. I didn't should I say my rated?
Yeah, do say.
If
we have the same.
Guys, I'm a man of a certain age. Look, I'm 30. How old are you, Dylan?
26.
There you go. We're like we're from an era. So like, yes, there's a reason The Wolf of Wall Street and Whiplash are in there, and obviously The Social Network is the best Fincher.
Yes,
that is a masterpiece. I really do. That was one of the first films I ever finished and thought that used that word for. So many levels and layers to that. Every single element is at the top of its game. Eisenberg, Garfield, Sorkin, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, Fincher doing great work, Rooney Mara, Rashida Jones, just excellent.
It's a perfect film. It is. It's fantastic. I recently rewatched it in the super screen at Leicester Square. Similar to Whiplash, there isn't an ounce of fat in there. I mean, Aaron Sorkin, he's revered for being one of the best writers working, and I think it's one of his best works for sure. I think David Fincher was also the perfect filmmaker to go to for a script like that, coming off sort of serial killer films and these cold, kind of meticulous sort of pictures that he was doing before. I think everything about that film works. I remember it's really funny because for the first time I watched that film again, I think I watched the film and I thought it was a cool film. And I called up my friend, I was like, guys, should we start a business? And then a couple of years later when I rewatched it, and I was like, I was such an idiot that this is the opposite of what the film is trying to tell you.
That's like watching The Wolf of Wall Street and being like, should I be a stockbroker?
Yeah, essentially. But yeah, I think it is basically a perfect film. And I think that 2010 had a lot of great films. You had Inception as well in there, and I think The King's Speech ended up winning, which isn't my favorite of that year.
No, not a bad film.
Yeah, not a bad film, but I think Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross's score. Every time I'm like working or studying, I have that on. It's just, it's great film. Seven as well is really good, and I think
Seven's great.
His most underrated for me, even though I think it's
really, you think it's Seven?
No, not Seven. His most underrated for me, which is slightly getting a bit more buzz recently, is Zodiac.
Yes, I was going to say, yeah. And because of that, I have seen it again a long time ago. This is the problem if you get into film too early. You watch films too young, and then you get older and you go, I actually need to replace adult eyes. I remember it being very long and very sort of scary, but it's got a great amount of resurgent love for it now. Yeah. And obviously, at the time, Robert Downey Jr., this was just pre-Iron Man. It was a really interesting point in his career. And obviously, love Gyllenhaal and Mark Ruffalo. So, yeah, I'm really keen to... You recommend going to see it again?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I think Cineworld did like sort of a little bit of a David Fincher run like a couple months ago. And I was like, right, I'm going to the cinema, guys. See you later. Zodiac, I think, is terrific. So I think it is your pick.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. James Cameron.
Oh, okay.
This is a tough one because he hasn't made a lot of films. People think he's been around for a while, but because he takes a long time on his projects, he actually hasn't made that many.
Exactly.
My favorite James Cameron film is not a film that I think people would associate as being a James Cameron film, in the way that Titanic is a James Cameron film. It's very on brand. It's big. Avatar, James Cameron film. But one of my favorite films is Aliens, and I love James Cameron's Aliens. I love Alien, but the Aliens.
You prefer Aliens?
I prefer this. It's so different, Dylan. But I definitely probably rewatch Aliens more. Yeah. And it's not because, oh my God, there's like guns and there's more of them. I really just think it's a really great fun romp. What you don't realize about Aliens is that the xenomorphs don't turn up until like 45 minutes in at least. And I love that weight. A great still, I talked earlier about the use of silence. They still have time to create tension and silence. And we all know the sound of the beep, 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 and the sound of the pulse rifles. I loved the dynamic between Newt and Hicks and Ripley, that sort of new family. Paul Reiser in it as this sort of schmucky guy, and I love everything about that movie. I think it's so much fun. Just a little thing, if you're going to watch Aliens now, you're probably going to most easily find it on something like Disney Plus, right? Disney Plus is a theatrical cut, and I didn't realize that the theatrical cut cuts out two big omissions. The first thing, because I guess I was watching the extended cut when I was a kid, right?
Yeah.
The first thing is that Ripley wakes up from cryosleep, and there was a scene that I remember where she sat in like a garden in a forest, and the camera turns and you realize it's like a therapy room. And the Paul Reiser character basically sits down and is like, and Ripley says, "Oh, you were here to tell me about my daughter." And he's like, "Yeah, she died. She was like 89 years old. You missed her entire life." and you see a picture of the daughter as an old woman, and like Ripley is heartbroken, and that is so important that scene, because that explains her whole
Context
relationship with Newt. Right?
Yeah.
And when that was missing in the theatrical cut, I couldn't believe it. The other scene that's missing is that they have a scene with these sentry guns they put outside the doors. They seal the door shut and they put these robotic sentry guns, and there's this great action scene when you think about it, the way it's constructed, that the aliens are approaching the guns, and you have the crew just watching the number of the percentage of ammunition left, watching it go down. You could hear it, you could hear the screaming, and that whole sequence is fantastic. And it's not in theatrical cut, it's not the one you get on Disney Plus. So just, if you're going to watch it, please watch the extended edition.
I did not know that. That's
You're bringing it out of me today. Third. Oh my God.
And least favorite, if you had to say?
Oh, James Cameron.
Yeah.
I don't mind Titanic. I don't mind Avatar. I've not seen Avatar Way of the Water. I always struggle with that. I guess you could say maybe like The Abyss, but I've only seen it once years ago. I've not seen True Lies, so I don't really have a least favorite.
Yeah. Like you said, I think he hasn't made that many films, even though he's king of the box office. But no, hasn't made that many films. I think my favorite has to be T2.
Oh my God, T2!
Sorry.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, T2 slaps. T2's amazing. I'm sticking with Aliens, but
okay. Yeah, T2. I mean, it's a completely different film to the first. It is a lot more action driven. Sarah Connor emerges as one of the most now iconic, not just female badass action, heroes out there, but just action heroes in general. I think the visual effects, what that did in terms of revolutionizing CGI, they still hold up. I would even go as far as to say is like, I think it is potentially, if not the best, but maybe in the top 5 greatest action films of all time. I think it's an absolute, and it has this emotional core between John Connor and Arnie as well, that asks questions about humans and AI and what that means to can you love AI. It has all these interesting ideas going, but also it's just a great cinema blockbuster, and every time I watch that film, I'm just reminded of just how fantastic it is, and I think it's brilliant.
I'm gonna give you one further.
Yeah.
It's the only good Terminator film.
You're not a fan of the first?
No, it's not that I'm not a fan. I went last year to the IMAX and I watched a double bill of Terminators 1 and 2. And my takeaway from watching Terminator 1 was like, I respect this for a moment in time, but it doesn't hold up now. It was made for an incredibly low budget. Some of it is a bit naff, and it's just not. Just go and watch. If you haven't seen the first Terminator, go and watch. You'll realize how sort of like not good lean, like we've talked about with other films, but like it's quite simple and straightforward. And Terminator 2 is so much bolder, so different. And I respect the Terminator. The first one has, like I said, it's a moment in time. But put it back on the shelf. And I think now, really, Terminator 2 is the only good one.
It does really feel like almost a completely different film from T2, for sure. Worst, I really love Avatar, but I've somehow just put it down. I don't think I have seen The Abyss. Avatar, I mean, don't really need to say much on that other than, I mean, what it did for cinema and whatnot. Story-wise, it's not the most original. It's basically Dancing with Wolves in space. Underrated, I think people, which you haven't seen, is The Way of Water. I think The Way of Water is quite underrated. James Cameron, I think, for me, my favourite is T2. Yours is Aliens.
I only watched Titanic for the first time this year.
Wow.
And that's harrowing.
Yeah,
I didn't expect it to be so harrowing. It's 2 films in one, but like, my God, I was shook by the end. Yeah,
I remember that film traumatizing me when I watched it in my youth. But
because you are watching over 1,000 people die.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
You are indeed.
Anyway.
Let's go with, who's this lucky filmmaker we get to pick apart? It's only fitting. Steven Spielberg.
I've heard of him. My goodness. What a director. Okay, let's start with least favourite. I was a bit lukewarm on Bridge of Spies. Okay. I know a lot of people think it's solid. I don't think it's bad. I just think meh. Ready Player One, in hindsight, like I think I saw it at the cinema.
Same.
And I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. And then in hindsight, I'm like, that's not really a good film. He has made a lot of good films, so I'm struggling to think of like a really bad one. Like a lot of people might say Kingdom of the Crystal Skull or whatever, but best Spielberg. That's what we're all interested in hearing. He's got a lot of good ones.
He has indeed.
He's got many a great movie, and I'm going to be coy again and go for just ones that deserve a shout. So I'm going to, oh, damn it. But then I said that, and then like in my head, it was like, Saving Private Ryan. And it was like, Jaws. So that's difficult. But look, what I was going to say is The Fabelmans and West Side Story, his previous two films, are amazing.
They are.
They deserve, and I arguably think they're up there with the best of his career. And I really think when people talk about Spielberg, I like to go, have you just seen, though, he's just made two of the best films of his career?
Yeah.
But so maybe I'm going to go for one of them. But it's so hard, Dylan. I don't know. I can't pick one. You do tell me what you chose.
So for me, this is not quite as hard of a decision for me, because this is Spielberg for me. It seems like an obvious pick, but like he's my all-time favorite director because he, like many, basically made me fall in love with movies to begin with. And my all-time favorite film is Jurassic Park. So
Great movie.
Great movie. I think it's a perfect movie. I think in many ways for me, I think Jaws is also a perfect movie, but in many ways for me, I think he was able to take the blockbuster concept and even take it even a step further with Jurassic Park, dare I say. But I would love to do a whole episode just talking about Jurassic Park, but yeah, it's a very personal pick just because of the time I watched it in my life, and that's the film that made me love it. That's why I'm talking to you right now.
Hey,
there you go.
Hey, that's good. Also, I'm glad you said that, because in the time that you were saying that gave me time to really think about my answer, which is that I'd actually go for my favorite Spielberg film,
Schindler's List.
Great movie.
Great film.
No one's put it at the top, but like great movie. Catch Me If You Can.
Oh,
Catch Me If You
great
Can.
film.
You have that loss of home, that kind of coming of age element to it that's in all of Spielberg's films, really. But it's got great Christopher Walken. It's heartbreaking. It's funny. Great score. Catch Me If You Can. Great
score as well. And I remember because John Williams and Steven Spielberg has one of the greatest, director composer. I think is the greatest collaboration there is. And it was the first time I remember watching Catch Me If You Can. First time I'd heard like John Williams really step away from the more kind of symphonic orchestral scores and do something a bit jazzy. You remember the opening credits, like da-da-da-da, da-da-da. And I was like, this is great. And
the kind of Saul Bass opening title.
Great film. My least favorite from Spielberg. Sorry.
Please.
My least favorite from Spielberg is a film he did, I think, back in, I want to say the 70s or the 80s, called Something Evil. It's almost, I'm going to say it, but I'm going to count it, but it was almost like a TV movie.
Right.
And it's a bit of like The Exorcist. It's a bit of possession going on. And I don't really think it's a great film. And I think he didn't direct the film Poltergeist, but I think he wrote the script for it. Yeah. And those ideas he was introducing in Something Evil are definitely much more fleshed out in Poltergeist, and I think Something Evil is just kind of like, so I would say that. And if I was doing underrated as well, actually, let's hear your least favorite. You said Ready Player One, right?
I think
Ready Player One. Underrated. I do think West Side Story is underrated, like you said.
Thank you.
I think also another underrated film that a lot of people might not have seen is a film he did called Duel.
It's like his second movie, right?
Yeah, and it's basically about a driver who's getting chased by a psychopath in this huge truck, and how he's able to tell a story with just two cars chasing each other is amazing. But my most underrated for me, I think, is Jurassic Park: The Lost World. Nobody talks about that film. Nobody talks about that film. And I think, in an age or a world where everybody with sequels is trying to basically do the first one bigger and better, Spielberg was like, no. He had the balls to try and do something completely different. I feel like the Lost World is almost like Jurassic Park's sort of younger emo brother in a lot of ways. It's shot kind of differently. It's a lot darker in tone. It still has Jeff Goldblum, who was one of the best characters of Jurassic Park. And I think also when you look at the Jurassic World films and they're like, oh my God, dinosaurs are coming, and they're coming to civilization where the humans are. Mate, Spielberg did that back in The Lost World and the last act of that with the whole Chicago stuff. I think it is so underrated, that film, and I implore everyone to go and check it out again for a second time.
Good shout. Right. We have... Oh, Denis Villeneuve.
Denis Villeneuve.
Now, this is really hard because he has made a lot of bangers, and I don't know if he's made a film that's really disappointed me. I kind of rate him really highly. His best film, I can't tell you what my least favourite is because I don't really think I have one. His best film, that's really hard. I did have like a really profound experience with Dune Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
I just really saw the vision, what he was delivering. I saw everything. I came out kind of speechless. I was like, wow, that is incredible. So I think I will go for Dune Part 2, even though all the other ones are heavy hitters. My underrated is Incendies. Have you seen Incendies?
Dude, I even was very tempted to put that as my favourite.
Yeah, same.
I know, I think you recently watched it.
Yeah. I watched it very recently. Amazing.
Amazing film. I do want to actually just say about Incendies or Incendies. Most people who think they love Denis Villeneuve will have loved Denis Villeneuve for, of course, the films that he's known for: Arrival, Sicario, Prisoners, Dune, Blade Runner. These huge films. But do not sleep on Incendies or Incendies. It is a harrowing film. It's quite Shakespearean as well in nature.
Like a Greek tragedy.
It is. It really is, and it's. It was really funny because last year, the BFI London Film Festival, we went to see Denis Villeneuve in talks. And he was kind of briefly speaking about all his previous films. And I really wanted him to speak about Incendies. And they played like a short clip from each of his films just to sort of cue in the conversation on those films. And he played... The clip they chose is literally the moment where she just comes out the swimming pools and she sees the tattoo on it, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And but he joked about it. He said, "Guys, that's just to let you know, that's a huge spoiler." I think that film it is so weighty, so heavy, not for the faint of heart. You get wrapped up in this. Insane kind of mystery about family, and I don't even want to say too much about it just for people who haven't seen it, but I think it is up there with amongst his best. And if I wasn't saying Dune Part 2 like you as well, probably Incendies. His worst for me, or my least favorite, is actually a film I really like as well. I've got a poster of it in my room. It is Jake Gyllenhaal in Enemy. I don't know if you've seen Enemy.
No, I didn't think that got a UK release when it came out. So I think people have discovered it maybe online afterwards, or maybe it's been like added to a streamer years later.
It's a really interesting film, and it's quite sort of abstract and metaphorical, and you're going to have to watch a couple of video essays afterwards to really sort of wrap your head around it. And the ending is one of the most bizarre kind of final sort of shots that you'll ever see without giving anything away. I really, really like Enemy, but I just don't think it is quite as strong as his other works, like those films I've just mentioned. Underrated, I would say, and it's not even underrated because everybody talks about it, is Blade Runner 2049. This is a hot take. I actually prefer 2049.
I've heard a lot of people say this
to the original Blade Runner, and I think that the original Blade Runner is a masterpiece. So I don't know what that says, but
I need to see it again. I wish I'd seen it in IMAX, but
that is the film to do so.
But there's something about there's the kind of I like both, but there's something like an industrial heaviness to Blade Runner 2049, like with the growls, the kind of the score. There's kind of, you really feel the weight of the world. Whereas I do quite like the kind of Vangelis, Spelletic kind of score of the first one, the kind of twinkly, almost fantasy look at the that world, like that.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. 2049, I think, is maybe the most beautiful film visually I've seen. Great work from Roger Deakins. But please do go ahead and
it's yours. It's yours. I was gesturing. Please, my friend, take from the bowl.
Wes Anderson.
I can give you this right away, straight off the bat. Best, Grand Budapest Hotel. Worst, The Phoenician Scheme.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, sorry, mate. Really boring. Really dull.
Looking forward to seeing it.
So sorry. The plot is really dull and incomprehensible. It's just about a businessman trying to shore up his deals. Good luck, I'm saying. Maybe it's enjoyable. Hey, don't get me wrong. As always with Wes, looks gorgeous. No. I love the Grand Budapest Hotel. I think most people do. I think it's that perfect balance of it has the whimsy of Wes Anderson, it has the colourfulness, it has the picture book quality. But when Wes works best is when he's got that kind of heart and emotion that breaks through. And that film literally ends with like a train coming to a halt, and there is this sort of emotional element to it about what happens to Saoirse Ronan's character and what happens to Gustav H, and that kind of poignancy works well with the whimsy. And it's why I also like the Royal Tenenbaums. It's probably I wouldn't say it's underrated. I think it's quite rated, but like would be my second choice because you have death and loss in that film, but which balances the kind of quirkiness of it. And all of his films are really about pseudo families, fake families trying to find themselves. And you do not have that with the Phoenician Scheme. I haven't seen all of his films. I haven't seen The French Dispatch. I haven't seen Isle of Dogs. I haven't seen Bottle Rocket. But there you go. Yeah.
So the only Wes film I haven't seen is The Phoenician Scheme. I have seen all of his other works, and like you and most people, I would say Grand Budapest as well is the peak of his career so far. It even seems like after that he's sort of slowly kind of dropped off, slowly kind of diminished, and I don't quite know what is I think it's just, I don't know, maybe he's become more interested in exploring other ideas that just for an audience member doesn't have the same, like you say, heart or relatability, or there's nothing sort of there for you to really latch onto, and you're able to look at those films and be like, oh gosh, these are gorgeous films, these are works of art technically, but I think it just goes to highlight the importance of a good script, and also you need to you might be interested in some ideas as a filmmaker, but ultimately if the audience is going to find that dull or boring, like you said, it's just, for me, my worst or my least favorite Wes Anderson film, maybe Asteroid City. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Potentially. I think it's got a great cast, as most of his film does, but maybe I need to rewatch it. I did like the one sort of landing scene with the alien. That was cool. And my underrated, if I was to say one, it would be the Darjeeling Limited. Have you seen the Darjeeling Limited?
Yeah, a while back. I remember it's not perfect. Like, no, it's like a massive tragedy in the middle that sort of really throws you off. But like, you'll notice this after seeing the Phoenician Scheme. Like, I'm glad the Darjeeling Limited is set outside and like it kind of engages in the real world, in inverted commas, and a great little lead trio of Brody and Wilson and Schwartzman.
Yeah. Well, there you go. There's Wes.
All right. Next up, we have Edgar Wright, who was in my screening of The Phoenician Scheme and was one of the only two people laughing at the film. Edgar Wright, I can tell you his worst film.
One of the only two people.
Yeah, I'm afraid so. Edgar Wright's worst film is Last Night in Soho. That was rough. I tried to watch that. I finished it, but like, my God, did not do anyone any favors. Didn't do Thomas and Mackenzie any favors. I love Edgar Wright. I've heard him talk a few times. Like, he's really interesting. He's a great cinephile. But no, that didn't work. I think his underrated film is Scott Pilgrim. For me, I think Scott Pilgrim was really misunderstood, and I rewatched it and I thought, this is such a blast. This is great. You have to choose a Cornetto film, I think, for Edgar Wright for me, and I don't know whether to choose Hot Fuzz or Shaun of the Dead. Hot Fuzz, I think, is just such a great comedy, and I love Shaun of the Dead for the same reason. Shaun of the Dead, I think, probably pips it because it delivers the horror and the kind of loss as well, which I quite like. So Shaun of the Dead.
Agree with you on Last Night in Soho. I remember being really kind of weirdly intrigued and excited to see that, because I was like, oh my God, Edgar Wright's doing I know there's elements of horror in Shaun of the Dead, but this is almost like a horror drama set in Soho in London, a place we're very familiar with. So it's going to be interesting. And then, it's quite lackluster. My favorite is, I feel kind of wrong for saying a film that's not in the Cornetto trilogy, but I'm actually just going to go with Baby Driver. I really love Baby Driver. I just think it has a kick-ass score to it. It moves amazingly well. The action's really well shot. And I know Edgar Wright is fundamentally and true at heart a British filmmaker, and this is, he's broadening out to Hollywood and stuff. So, but I just think as a piece, it works so well. I haven't seen it in quite a few years, so I need to revisit. And Shaun of the Dead, I think a lot of people say is his best. I've only seen it the one time. Had a lot of fun with it. I love Hot Fuzz. I think that's my favorite in the Cornetto trilogy. But I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna go with Baby Driver, and underrated. Nice. I would say maybe Hot Fuzz, because most people tend to say Shaun of the Dead. But yeah, there you go. There's Edgar Wright for you. Okay, so Yorgos Lanthimos.
Right, Yorgos.
I feel like there's a rant coming up.
Look, Yorgos. There are people who love him, and he's just one of those very stylistic directors. And my favorite, I'll start with the positives. My favorite is actually Killing of a Sacred Deer.
Me too.
Which there you go. I think is great, and I think it's where the arch delivery and kind of Greek tragedy elements of Lanthimos' style works best, and I think it's creepy and freaky and uncomfortable. Barry Keoghan doing great, Colin Farrell doing great, Nicole Kidman in there. I think it's really interesting and unsettling, and it looks great as well. Some really great shots in there.
One of the best posters as well. I don't know if you've remembered the silhouette. Yeah. So
I remember finishing it going, "Whoa, that was nice." I liked how weird it was, and odd and just kind of disturbing. Least favorite is Kinds of Kindness, which, I saw last year, and like coming off the back of Poor Things, which I think was perfectly all right actually. Even though I'm not a huge Lanthimos person, just in general. I've not seen The Lobster and everything, but I thought The Favourite was a bit overrated. I'm just not a big Lanthimos guy. But coming out of Kinds of Kindness, oh man, that was tough. A 2-hour 45 B-side of what material they had left over from other stuff, where Lanthimos said, hang on, how much budget did we save on Poor Things? Oh wait, Emma, we got some budget. Let's go make that movie. You do a bit of dancing, and we'll do this, and we'll have sort of 3 movies stitched together. We'll make it all really colourful, and we'll make it 2 hours and 45 minutes. And where should we hold the premiere? We'll hold it in the Curzon Mayfair, and it'll be on the hottest day of the year. Any air conditioning. Part of me is still in the seat of that cinema experience, and you had a very long, very boring, very unrewarding film in a hot environment, but the environment aside, not a great film, really tedious, and I kind of took the piss, frankly.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I also think Kinds of Kindness is probably his weakest film for many of the reasons you've just said, but also just real quick, quickly mention, me and Clara reviewed the film when it came out, and what ended up happening, intentionally or unintentionally, clearly, is we sort of ended up having it turned very political, and what you started seeing was like almost like and this is not representative of our actual political beliefs, but like almost like a left-wing, right-wing kind of debate taking place on this podcast. And you probably will agree, but one of Clara's major turn-offs to the film was just the amount of unnecessary nudity in the film, and it sort of expanded and sort of, we were talking about what nudity means and like all these crazy ideas, and then I edited this kind of debate into a reel, and on TikTok it is literally like, it was really quite fascinating to see people's reactions to it, and it was like the first time ever the podcast had gotten like almost like transcended film and gotten like really political.
If I may as well, you just reminded me that the real point that I went, okay, Yorgos, I'm out of here. Is there's an act of sexual violence in that film, which is the consequences of which are not dealt with and talked about. I don't know if you remember with Joe Alwyn's character in The Third Story. You'd be forgiven if you missed.
Is it the?
It's like the drink spike. I'm just going to say it. Sorry, I'm not trying to tiptoe around it. Just since we're now talking about it, I thought about call it what it is. But and then that's never really called back on or addressed. And I think like you just can't do that anymore. You really have to, if you're going to do that subject matter, do it properly. And at that point, I was like, okay, Yorgos, you just grab your own bum.
Yeah,
sorry.
But no. That's completely fair. He is always a filmmaker.
Sorry, Clara, you jumped up then. You agreeing with me, right?
I saw Clara's face light up when you were like, I fucking hate Kinds of Kindness.
I do. I think it's a load of wank, frankly.
He is. Whether anyone agrees or not, he's always a filmmaker I'm interested to see what he does next. Though I think he is. Yeah.
Okay. Here we go.
Okay, Greta Gerwig. Okay.
Great director. Look, I mentioned at the beginning on my beach, was it Desert Island, that one of the movies would be Little Women.
Yes.
Obviously, she's only directed. Well, she co-directed one movie in the early the noughties, right? But she's
like 20th Century Women or something.
Yeah, no.
Was it not that?
She's in that. It's like a mumblecore movie. I can't remember the name of it.
It's not Frances Ha, because that was Noah.
No, that was. No, I love Noah Baumbach.
Yeah.
Right? She's only technically directed like 3 films on her own at the moment, which is Lady Bird, Little Women, and Barbie.
Well, that puts us in a perfect scenario then. So, favorite, least favorite, and underrated. Well, or overrated. Let's.
I do. It's hard. Lady Bird, I really love because it's an original film and it's a new coming of age story. I think it's beautiful. I think it's funny. I think it's heartbreaking, and I think it's just. Excellent, a really excellent film. But there's something about Little Women that I think it's like when we were talking about The Social Network. It's something about all the elements coming together and working, and I'm like, there's something perfect about Little Women, and I had such a spring in my step and such a piece of joy when I came out of seeing it for the first time, and I've rewatched it since, and I want to protect it, and I love it, and it's gorgeous and painterly and heartbreaking and moving and joyous and not cynical, and it's celebratory of family and relationships, but also real about the pain. And the scene where Saoirse Ronan talks about loneliness is fantastic, and the scene on the heath with Timothée Chalamet declaring his love is excellent, and Florence Pugh's speech is excellent. It's a lovely movie, and I really think it felt like a classic immediately. And there's something so brilliant about that, which is why I wanted to put it on my desert island. So it has to be my Get Greta Gerwig, Little Women is perfect.
I agree.
And then with Barbie, I don't necessarily. You can't say any of those films are underrated because one grossed over $1 billion and the other two were critically acclaimed. But Barbie, I saw it twice. I quite liked it. I don't think it's a runaway success. Also, not made for me. It's okay. I don't have any problems with it. That's fine. I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, this is what didn't work with Barbie. It did make me laugh a lot.
Yeah.
My fiance does say, she's like, it is almost Ken's movie, though. That's the way they've snuck it in the same way that Wonder Woman was actually secretly Chris Pine's movie.
Yeah.
It's actually like Ryan Gosling is the one who has the main arc in this.
Yes.
He gets the best lines, he gets the best laugh, and I think Margot Robbie does a good job with Barbie. But my main thing was that Barbie as a character is actually quite reactive, and it's just kind of like, oh, what's happening here?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going here. Whereas it's Ryan Gosling that gets to have the fun. And
he's
Will
the more
Ferrell,
active of the two for sure. Yeah.
So I don't think Barbie's overrated or whatever. Actually, those are just my thoughts on it.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I think I basically have the exact same as you. My favorite is Little Women.
Yeah,
just got on with that film really, really well. For basically everything that you said. I think the cast is great. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful film, and also a really, really tough year that year. That was also Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That was The Irishman. That was Parasite that year, and I think was it 2019 is one of the great years in recent years of film for sure, and Little Women definitely contributed to that. Lady Bird as well. I really liked the first time I saw it, but I didn't quite hail it as the sort of, I know some people were saying it was somewhat of a masterpiece. I didn't quite see it like that. Greta Gerwig, I should probably give her films more of a rewatch because I've only seen all three of them the one time.
Oh, I see.
So it would be interesting to go revisit them, see if any of them change. But Barbie as well, I had a good time.
Yeah.
I had a really good time with Barbie. I've heard a lot of people say, they it's incredible, amazing, etc. And I've heard a lot of people say they think it's the messaging is patronizing. They think whether you're a guy or a girl, regardless. But I think Greta Gerwig is one of the most exciting directors working today.
Absolutely.
How do you feel about her taking on Narnia?
Well, I'm a bit selfishly, I'm a bit sad that Greta Gerwig's been sort of tied up with a massive IP for Netflix for the next few years. Yes, obviously Little Women based off a book and Barbie a massive IP, but I kind of you're such a good filmmaker. I'd love to see you go and do your own work. You've got our attention now. And also Narnia, I'm kind of you can kind of take it or leave it. But okay, she's doing The Magician's Nephew for Netflix. It's going to get an IMAX release. I don't want to write it off before I see it, because equally we could be saying that in 2 years' time, going, wow, what she did with that movie was really excellent.
Yeah.
She took a swing, and
there you go.
Well, we got one last one.
Yes, we do.
And I think it's going to be a big one.
I think it's going to be a big one too. Do you think it's going to be a big one, guys?
How could we talk about directors without finishing with, of course, Mr. Quentin Tarantino? I've got an answer straight away for this. My least favorite, absolutely, categorically, is The Hateful Eight. I really don't like that movie. I really don't like it. Much of it is absolutely watchable and tense and gorgeously shot. Don't get me wrong, but a bit similar to how Kinds of Kindness rubbed me the wrong way. I really hate the way The Hateful Eight ends. It really left a massively bad taste in my mouth. I really felt that the spoilers for The Hateful Eight, but finishing on Jennifer Jason Leigh getting lynched by these two horrible men in this cabin, I was like, this is not sitting well with me. I really thought what the film was going to do was have Jennifer Jason Leigh walk out of that cabin being the only one to have survived, and all the men would have killed each other, and I thought that would have been brilliant. Not that I'm telling Tarantino how to make a movie. He knows more about that than I do, but there's something about that, and I've tried to rewatch it and feel about that differently, but each time it ends, I go, ugh, there's something obnoxious and toxic I don't like about that ending. It's a different kind of violence we're used to seeing from Tarantino.
This is really awkward because I have actually put my most underrated as The Hateful Eight. I don't know. I think when you look at Tarantino's filmography, The Hateful Eight kind of it's not his most recent, sorry, it's his second most recent, is sort of the one that is well, it's the longest, it's the most kind of drawn out. For me, I the reason I've always liked it is because of how much it just relies on his screenplay and his writing of great dialogue and horrible characters, like you say, but also I can't help but think are, entertaining in their own right. And it's by no means his strongest film, but I think it was kind of, for me, when I watched it, I thought it was quite refreshing to see Tarantino almost pause and not just have so many continuous acts of, action and violence, and have something a bit more subdued and sort of a bit more meditative, and then kind of have this big shootout at the end. But yes, it has been a while since I've seen it, and maybe I'll feel differently, but that was kind of the one I put as the most underrated. My least favorite, I've only seen once, is Jackie Brown. Didn't really do much for me. Maybe there's something in there I think. Yeah,
no, I was just saying, it's the one that everyone reappraises at the moment.
Okay,
it's become a cool thing to say Jackie Brown's your favorite Tarantino film. So for that reason, I'm also going to go try and rewatch it.
Yeah. But my favorite. Oh, what's your favorite? Did you say your favorite?
It's tough because obviously, like, he's a filmmaker. I know his films very well, and like, it touched so much of my love of cinema. Kind of came through Tarantino, which a lot of people do, even though it's not. It's kind of a bit of a cliche to say. I have a top three. You know what? It is Pulp Fiction.
Okay.
It is the OG, and I stand by that. And it's not. There are elements of that film that don't quite. There's way too many racial slurs, as there are in all Tarantino movies. But there is something so exciting and refreshing and different and bold, and it's just got that 90s energy baked into it, that indie filmmaking baked into it. I just find it really exciting, and it was one of those things that for a film that I know so well, I rewatched it a few years ago, having not watched it for about 5 years, and it just worked fantastically. And I rewatched a couple of other Tarantino films, and it was the same, but it's like Inglourious Basterds. I love that film so much. I've seen that film so many times, and on rewatching it, I was like, I need to put this film away for like 10 years. Yeah. But Pulp Fiction will always have something to say, and always be a bold watch, and I think it is a kind of staple for me.
Yeah for me it's Inglourious Basterds, I would say. I mean, I've also seen that film almost to death. Haven't seen it in a little while, but I remember the first time I watched it, I was sick from school, and I don't think I've ever laughed harder in a film. That's firstly not even a comedy. Yes, there's comedic elements, but the scene that has always got me is the Gorlami scene when they're impersonating Italians. That for me, I think for me personally, there's something so hilarious about people impersonating other cultures, rightly or wrongly. That always gets me. And that scene for me, like I was like howling for I don't even know how long, but I think any act of that film or any scene of that film you could say is the best. Like, is it the opening scene with Christoph Waltz and in the house and drinking the milk and that dialogue? Is it that, or is it the bar shootout with Michael Fassbender's character, like Drei Gläser? Like, is it that, or is it the big finale at the end with when all the action and the violence sort of comes to? I think that film is just fantastic, and the fact that it jumps from different groups of characters constantly, a little bit like Pulp Fiction as well, I think is brilliant. How he rewrites history, that was kind of
brilliant. At the time, when you don't know that's coming, it's exactly. Like, what a great punchline, this whole thing. It's so like Quentin got you. You were there. Everyone was sat there thinking, "All right, Quentin, this is a bit ridiculous." And he goes, "Yeah, it's not even seriously."
Yeah, and then he did it again with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. When I remember watching that film for the first time, and I was terrified of the coming up to the finale. Like, oh my God. Margot Robbie, Sharon Tate's gonna just get brutally, murdered, and then, psych, no, she doesn't, and then there's this great destructive faces exploding. So that's kind of my.
I think that's a good take, and I do love Inglourious, don't get me wrong, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood has actually become now like my third favorite Tarantino. Where at the time when I watched it in the cinema, I really didn't gel with it. and for many years I was moaning about it, saying, it didn't work at all. And then I rewatched it, and I've never had this with a film before. It was like night and day. Rewatching it again, it just clicked for me. The opening scene where he's like, "You're not seeing double. This is Cliff Booth, and this is his stunt double." And I was like, I get it. Tarantino is literally saying, "I'm going to show you two presentations of Hollywood.
Yeah,
I'm going to show you the thing, the glamorous side we know, and I'm going to show you the underbelly." And it worked. And I think it's Tarantino's most mature film for me, which is great because having come from what I thought was the immature ending of The Hateful Eight, and it ends, I think, with that Sharon Tate thing, the way it sidesteps history. I found it really poignant. It is this love letter to Hollywood, and he's created like this kind of. Yeah, it's very poignant, this safe space, this reality where it's like, in this reality, he's created a world in which Sharon Tate lives, and this horrible, horrible, horrible thing didn't happen. And I came away thinking, my God, Tarantino, are you like growing up? Are you evolving? It's really smart. And I like the fact it's a bit of an outlier, and I really, really champion that.
I was going to say, I don't know how you feel about Oppenheimer, but I feel like it's what a lot of people also feel about Nolan, sort of going from Tenet to Oppenheimer. Like, yes. Nolan almost listens like, okay, fine, you didn't like that, fine, I'm going to do something proper now.
Yeah.
And really sort of getting to grips with something a bit more mature and, tactile. But yeah, there you go. Fair enough. Ending it off with a bang.
Yes.
Guys, that was our discussion on the best, the worst, our favorites, our least favorites, underrated, and potentially some overrateds in there from each of those directors. Thank you so much, George, for chatting. That was brilliant. I had so much fun with that. I hope you did too.
I did.
Now, of course, we are going on to our favorite segment, which of course is the games.
Yay.
The games. Now, George, I know how you and James run your episodes. You usually just have the one game at the end, which is such a nice tie-off, nice way to end off the episodes. We here on the Popcorn Podcast, we basically throw all sorts of stuff at the guests. We have today for you, we have 5 games, 5 activities. So let's see how we get on. So, George,
by the way, I like to think that you've just made me have this really exhaustive conversation with you about filmmaking to sort of wear me down, and then you're like, now we're gonna do that to affect my performance. Okay, what we got?
So George, game number 1. Okay, this game is called Cryptic Plots. So I am going to give you some incredibly simple ways of describing certain films, and you're going to try and guess what the film I'm describing is.
Okay.
So, does that make sense?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay. So the first description we have is family vacation ruined by a maze, an axe, and bad room service.
It's Shining.
That is correct. We are warming up. Next up, we have a teen plays matchmaker for his own parents.
Parent Trap. No, she's not a teen, but she does play.
It's not the Parent Trap.
Teen. Ooh, matchmaker for. Say it again.
A teen plays matchmaker for his own
parents.
Getting the clues.
Teen matchmaker. Ooh. Damn it, I don't know. What is it?
I'll give you an alternative description. So, he's not born yet, but he's already fixing the family tree.
He's not born yet. What kind of... Back to the Future.
That is correct. There we go.
Nice. I like that. Well done.
Up next, we've got a young man goes through a lot of trouble to return some jewelry.
Uncut Gems.
Not Uncut Gems. A young man.
You're
not young, but... Sorry.
Not Blood Diamond.
Not Blood Diamond.
Jewelry. Not Snatch.
Nope.
A young man... Oh, a young man goes to...
Well, that... young man or potentially something else.
Is it Titanic?
Not Titanic.
A young man goes to great lengths to return...
some jewelry.
Avengers Endgame. Hey, they're stones. You'd wear that. It looks gorgeous. A piece of jewelry. Oh, come on. I feel like it's right there. A man goes to a great lengths to return a piece of jewelry. Is it Raiders of the Indiana Jones? Any more clues you can give me?
I don't really know.
He used to return a piece of jewelry.
Think about jewelry. What would you classify?
A necklace, a bracelet. A ring, to return a ring. Fellowship, the Lord of the Rings. Yeah. Wow, that is cryptic.
Up next, we have Deja vu heals a weatherman's skeptical soul.
Groundhog Day.
That is correct, yes. Up next, we have a man constantly loses his prized possessions to some French jerk.
Oh. A man constantly loses his prized possessions to a French jerk. French jerk. Johnny English. The Pink Panther. French. Steals. A man constantly loses his prized possessions to... Is it a comedy?
No.
French. Give me a clue.
It's adventure-esque.
A man constantly loses his prized possessions to a French jerk.
Dare I say you might have said it already in one of your other guesses.
It's not Uncut Gems. No, it's not.
No.
I don't know.
That is Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh. Le Boc, isn't it?
Yeah.
Damn it. Very good.
Up next, we have a fight breaks out between two angry orphans.
Resulting in a fight breaks out between two orphans.
Angry orphans, yeah.
A Warrior with Tom Hardy.
Quite, that's a good guess, though.
A fight breaks out between two orphans. Give me a clue. I know you should give me clues.
Think big, huge IPs, potentially superhero blockbusters.
It's not Wicked. It's not. I don't know. Give it to me.
So that is Batman versus Superman.
Oh, they are orphans, of course. Yeah.
Up next, we have a man sleeps through a 10-hour flight.
Inception.
That is correct, yes. And finally, George, we have 6 men dressed the same for their first day at work.
Reservoir Dogs.
That is correct. Brilliant. That was a great end to that.
Thank you.
Shout out to MSN. I took some inspiration from you guys. This is
MSN.
The website MSN.
Like
yes, yeah. Believe it or not.
Sorry, it's been a blast from the past. It's been a while. Send me a nudge.
Okay, how was that?
Yeah, great, man.
Good fun. Next game, game number 2. So, George, Pulp Kitchen is sort of play on words. Part film, part food. So this game is all about film snacks. It's not trivia. It is going to be your personal selection. So this game is called Film Snacks Pick 5, Get Rid of 5.
Okay.
So I'm going to list some film snacks for you.
Okay.
And you're not going to know which is coming next.
To consume while I watch a movie.
Yes.
Got it.
So we've got 10 film snacks here.
Right.
And you're basically going to keep or delete.
Okay.
All right. So up first, salted popcorn.
Keep.
Okay. Coca-Cola or a soft drink of your choosing.
Keep.
Okay. A hot dog.
Well, I don't know what's coming up, but I'll keep it. I like a hot dog.
Okay.
I'm hungry now, which doesn't help. So.
Up next we have coffee.
Yeah, coffee's allowed. But
Just FYI, you only allowed five picks.
Oh shit!
Sorry,
have we done 3?
You've done 4.
Oh shit!
Sorry.
You know what? I'm going to delete coffee.
Okay, delete coffee. We're going to take. So far we've got salted popcorn, Coca-Cola, or soft drink of your choosing. Or,
can I delete hot dog? No, you know what? The hot food like that, it's also it's stinky and it's slimy. I'm deleting. I'm deleting it.
Okay, so we've got salted popcorn and Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
So no hot dog, no coffee. Up next we have M&Ms.
Delete. I don't like them.
Oh, okay. Sour Patch Kids.
I don't think I've ever had that. So delete.
Okay.
Sometimes it doesn't sound like I'm a human. I have been to Earth before. I have done these things, but no, delete that.
Up next we have a Tango Ice Blast.
Delete. Crime against everything.
Fun
when you're at the time, but also just like horrifically bad for you.
That's true. Nachos.
Delete. Noisy, stinky. Big time delete.
Sweet popcorn.
Yeah, keep it. It's fine. Yeah,
keep it. Okay, that's 3 now.
Or 3. Yeah.
The last one we have is a cocktail.
You can have a cocktail with it. Yeah, lovely. Keep.
So we've got 4. So if you were to pick one of those other ones,
coffee.
Yeah,
nice. But non-alcoholic.
So currently, George, your epic cinema feast here consists of salted popcorn, sweet popcorn. Let's call it mixed. A cocktail, some coffee, and a Coca-Cola.
I
A little bit bathroom breaks.
I know. I don't usually drink that much at the cinema for that reason, but I would love. I would have ideally loved some pizza in there, maybe.
Yeah. You see, when we were making this yesterday, I was like, Clara, should I put pizza in there? She's like, I don't know.
Or a Greg's steak slice.
You like sneaking the steak slices into the cinema.
I once saw a film at Prince Charles Cinema, and a guy came in with a full chicken tikka masala.
Oh my god.
That's just what happens when you see a film in Soho on a Friday night.
One of our friends, Mickey, who watched Gladiator 2, someone bought Tupperware with a chicken leg drumsticks in there. Just nasty stuff.
From home?
Yeah.
Oh.
My follow-up question actually to that game is, George, if you had to pick one of those, if you could only pick one cinema snack or drink, etc., what would you take? For the rest of your life?
For the rest of my life?
The rest of your life.
I think a really important detail is to clarify that I'm not a big cinema snacker.
Ooh.
I'm not a big cinema
Okay.
snacker. I find it a little bit distracting. I don't love popcorn's fine, but like doesn't give me anything. So really, like I'm a little bit indifferent.
Tap water will do.
Which is mostly my drink of choice. Yeah, honestly.
Fair
I don't go to drink a lot because I don't want to use the loo, and like again, I don't want to interrupt the film, and like food is a bit of a distraction. So sorry. So.
There you go, guys. There you go. Who would have known? Pulp Kitchen is so dismissive of the snacks. Right. So up next, game number 3. Right. I really hope you don't mind, George. I really hope you don't mind me somewhat trying to turn you into a bit of a wind-up monkey here. Right. But considering how phenomenal you and James are at impressions.
Oh God.
We couldn't let you leave without playing some sort of impressions game. Here
I was not prepared. He did not do this. Okay.
So, I just to clarify, I am not great at impressions. So you are just going to have to carry this game for us. So in this little cup there, Clara's wrote down some people, some actors, maybe some film characters, who knows, for us to pick out and give it our best shot at impersonating, and the other is going to try and guess what the person is doing. Okay,
so you want me to pick one out?
You pick one out, and I'm going to try and guess.
There's no knowledge whether or not I can actually do these as impressions. It's just for...
Yeah, well, okay. There you go, yeah.
Okay, so...
To give it your best shot. I'm going to sound horrendous, so there you go. You don't have to worry about
that. Okay. You must go there and you run up the hill, and your little friends must go to the top and get a piece of jewelry and throw it into the fires.
Oh my God.
Who's that, Dylan?
Oh my God, guys. Where's George gone? Because Gandalf the Grey has arrived.
Correct.
Oh my gosh.
Ian McKellen. Ian McKellen, that's right.
That's fucking phenomenal, honestly. Oh my goodness. I don't know how I'm going to follow up that. I really don't know. Okay, this one I feel like it's fairly obvious. Okay. Wow, I don't know from back there. Oh my God. Of course. You can't maybe go on. I don't know what to say. I was just starting midnight in Paris. There you go. There you go.
There he is, yeah. Of course. Iconic sound.
There you go.
Okay, 1 for 1. Just got back from New York for a fantastic little trip.
Oh my God.
To the Unicorn. It was an amazing time with Will Poulter and the other people. I was in Saltburn as well. What a terrific time.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, baby.
Richard E. Grant.
That's Richard E. Grant, yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Honestly.
There you go.
Do you guys seriously should be doing this for a living? Honestly.
We've never played this game on our show, and I don't know why. Thank you, though.
Oh my gosh. All right.
I used to have longer hair, so I'd be able to do the whole Richard E. Grant swing back.
All right. Master Wayne.
Hey, yeah, not bad.
I won't bury you. I buried enough members of the Wayne family.
It's Michael Caine.
It's Michael Caine.
But it sounds like he's got something in his mouth.
Yeah, he's got a cold. Can't do it. You're pretty good at Michael Caine, you know?
He's a master. You are, it's kind of like, I will not marry another Batman.
Yeah, it's so good.
Oh, no. The best Michael Caine line is from The Prestige, where he goes, Angie, if I can see you kissing your wife's leg, so can the blokes in rows 3 and 4. Anyway.
Oh, gosh. This is amazing. Okay. I love how you just yeah, whatever, sure.
And the thing is, it's a movie, okay? It's a movie, and you're going to shoot this, and it's going to be really, really great, okay? Okay. I want you to take your socks off and walk along because we love your feet, okay?
Yeah, it's Tarantino.
Oh gosh. My favorite interview moment from him is like, well, you should talk to Jamie Foxx about that.
Yeah, well, you should talk to Jamie Foxx about that
because he's here.
Yeah.
I'm not your slave. I'm not your slave. You're not my master.
Butt down. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm shutting your butt down.
Yeah. You should see the Jamie Foxx does a good Quentin impression where he talks about when Quentin gave him a note on the set of Django.
What the fuck is this?
Yeah, what the fuck is this? Here's the thing.
Okay. All right, up next we have. All right. Put that cookie down.
Hey! Hello, Arnie.
I'm the T. I can't. That's bad. That's literally bad.
I'm the T-1000. It's coming right now. Get to the chopper.
Yeah, it's a fun one to do. You gotta love Arnie.
Oh gosh. Oh my gosh. My socks are burning off. Quentin.
Oh, we got two more in here.
Okay, the last two. Gosh.
Oh God. Oh. Okay, it's been a while. It's been a while since I've done this one. Because I have to try and do it deadpan. It's like, Dylan, you're running around, getting in all sorts of trouble. Right.
Yeah. Alan Rickman.
Yeah, there you go. Not my best, but he's there. Yeah.
That was great. Oh gosh. Okay, the last one. Let's see if I can somewhat try and make him in this. Oh, this is so difficult. Oh, why did you have to give me this one? Well, I can't. Oh, I don't know if I can do that. I'll try and do a character. Hello, father. You are no son of mine.
Whoa! First of all, love the commitment. 10 out of 10. A-star in drama for you. Hello, father.
Do you remember that?
Cockney. Hello, father.
Hello, father. And then other character goes, you are no son of mine. And then character goes, and then it cuts. But I'm trying to think of something. I'm the doctor. Donna.
So it's
get to the TARDIS.
So it's David Tennant.
It is David Tennant.
Right. What is that? What is that? What were you doing? What was the first thing?
Sorry, I realised that if you don't know what I was doing there, I just look like a complete and utter.
No, you committed. I love it. I want to see it. What is it?
That is Barty Crouch Jr. in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire.
Okay. Right. I've only seen that once. Yeah.
Hello, father.
Does he do that?
He does a tongue flip.
Does he turn into something? Does he turn into like a beast or something?
Watch that scene, and then replay this clip and see how uncanny my impression.
Yeah, I believe it is.
But there you go, guys.
Donna! She does it. Yeah.
I'm glad you're having fun.
I'm glad you're having fun, Clara. Yeah.
David Tennant, it's always very angry. He does it like that.
This
planet will blow up, and then I say, "Of course you do. There's all these people there."
You know, whereas Matt Smith's a bit more, whoa, Rory, whoa, space, cracks, times and space. Yeah, there you go, a little bit. There you go.
Oh, guys, well, that was really bad attempt at impressions from me, but as always, a fantastic set of impressions from George here.
Very kind.
So game number 4, guys. We are coming to the end of this episode, but game number 4 is, George, little game I like to play called Which Film Has Been Watched by More People on Letterboxd. So
all right.
I'm going to give you 2 films. I'm going to try and tell me which you think, given all your exploration of the film world out there, which you think is the more popular film on Letterboxd. Remember, Letterboxd is also very, very key here.
Got it.
Not on IMDb. Not Rotten Tomatoes, Letterboxd. All right, so first up we have Star Wars, so A New Hope, or Titanic.
Titanic
is correct, yes. Titanic has been watched by 3.9 million users and Star Wars 3.1 million. Don't know if anyone's actually surprised by that. That's quite... yeah. Up next we have There Will Be Blood and No Country for Old Men.
The ultimate double bill, the neck and neck. I'm going to... There Will Be Blood.
So No Country for Old Men is the more popular. That is at 2.1 million users, and There Will Be Blood only the 1.3 million.
Oh,
people need to see that.
Whoa!
I know, right? Up next we have The Substance or The Godfather?
Well, because Letterboxd is used by a younger crowd, and The Substance is one of the most talked about movies of recent years, and the fact that you've even phrased that question that way makes me think that it is The Substance.
Ooh.
Is it The Substance?
So I'm really sorry, guys. This was actually kind of a trick question. They are both at 2.8 million users.
Wow.
So and that is the only draw for the rest of the. So there will always be another winner. But there you go. I thought that was quite interesting. But I'll tell you what, The Godfather does lose out to Saltburn. More people have seen Saltburn than The Godfather. On
Another massively overrated film.
There you go. I agree.
Not like terrible, but like, come on.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Saltburn or The Shawshank Redemption?
Well, you've just said Saltburn has. Oh, but did you give it? Didn't you? But Saltburn has more, but you didn't say Saltburn has the most, right?
No.
Oh,
The most on Letterboxd is Barbie.
I'll go for Shawshank. Why not?
It's actually Saltburn. So Saltburn is at 3 million users, and The Shawshank Redemption is at 2.8 million users. Up next, some recent releases. We have Thunderbolts or Sinners.
Ooh.
Currently, not how many? Which is more popular now?
Sinners.
That is correct. Sinners is at 1.3 million users on Letterboxd, and Thunderbolts is only at the 823,000. So yeah, Sinners gets that round. So up next we have Superbad or Mean Girls.
Mean Girls.
That is correct. Mean Girls wins quite comfortably. 3.5 million users, and Superbad 2.4 million users. Up next we have the Battle of the Blockbusters. We have Top Gun Maverick, and we have Jurassic Park.
Well, the recency bias seems to be strong with a lot of these answers, so I'm going to have to say Top Gun Maverick.
So Jurassic Park comes out on top. It is at 2.9 million users, and Top Gun Maverick is at 2.2 million users. And finally, we have the Battle of the Blade Runners here. We have Blade Runner 2049, and of course the original Blade Runner.
The original?
It's actually 2049.
Oh, wow. I know nothing.
2049 has been watched by 2.4 million users on Letterboxd, and the original has only been watched by 1.7 million. There you go, guys. It's quite an educational round there, actually, as well to see.
I'm learning.
Letterboxd, yeah. And finally, George, we end with a sort of podcast classic, and that is, can you guess the imposter from the cast?
Oh, nice.
So I'm going to give you 4 actors. You're going to tell me who the imposter is.
Got it.
Cool. So up first, we have Andrew Garfield, Miles Teller, Rooney Mara, Armie Hammer.
Miles Teller is the imposter there because they're on Social Network.
That is correct, yes. Up next, we have Tom Hardy, Michael Caine, Aaron Taylor-Johnson, Robert Pattinson.
Tom Hardy, Michael Caine, Robert Pattinson, and the other?
Aaron Taylor-Johnson. Have I messed this up? I might mess this up.
I think 2 of them are imposters.
I think I've actually just messed this up.
No, hang on. No, you haven't. No, Tom Hardy's the imposter because they're all in Tenet except for Tom Hardy.
Yes.
That's it. I forget Michael Caine's in Tenet. Michael Caine is at the luncheon in the suit.
Yes. Sorry, that's why I was forgetting. Because I was reading, I was like, this is Tenet. And then I was like, where the hell is Michael Caine in Tenet? And then he is.
Yeah.
My bad. Yes, you are absolutely right. Tom Hardy is the imposter here. Up next, we have Chris Evans, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Brie Larson, Kieran Culkin.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Those are all in Scott Pilgrim.
That is correct. It's actually kind of uncanny how we've spoken about these 3 films. Up next, we have Naomi Watts, Emma Stone, Julianne Moore, Zach Galifianakis.
Oh. It's Julianne Moore. That's Birdman.
That is correct. Yes, aced it again. And finally, George, we have Drew Barrymore, Patrick Swayze, Maggie Gyllenhaal, Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves, that's Donnie Darko.
That is correct. Oh, he's done it. That was a perfect 5 for you there, and a strong way to finish. Well, guys, that comes to the end of episode number 71. Just a massive thank you to George for taking the time out of your weekend and coming down. This has just been so much fun. I hope you've enjoyed.
I've honestly loved being a guest. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for listening, guys. I really appreciate it. Hope you've don't hate me for anything I've done. But thank you, Dylan. I really, really enjoyed this. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, dude, we would love to welcome you back on as well. Maybe with James as well.
Hey.
If you guys are both free, and James as well. I'd love to get on the couch at some point as well. I feel like I need to collect you both like Infinity Stones. You first, then James, then both of you.
I'll do it myself.
Yeah, complete the trilogy. But thank you so much, George, for coming on. Such a great guest, and for those fantastic impressions as well. Those really cracked us out. All of George's respective links, if you aren't across him already, will be down below, including your Letterboxd, which you put at the start. Will be down below in the description box in case you want to go and check him out, which I do recommend you do. For now, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening, and we will catch you in the next episode of the Popcorn Podcast. Cheers.
Bye.